Good afternoon, everyone. Great to see you out there. Time for another Miami Hurricanes live edition, number 107. We got the Wholesome One standing by. He will be joining us in just a few minutes here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. So please lock it in. If you've yet to subscribe to our channel, please check out the videos, see the content that we provide. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. That's our goal. That's our aim. That's our mission. And that's what we attempt to do each and every day. Hit that bell for the notifications once you subscribe and you know when we're going live, which is every day. Every day, multiple times per day. Following this show, we go with Nebraska Live at 6 o'clock Eastern Time and then a call-in show at 9. So the college football never ends here. We're also simulcasting right now on Facebook and Periscope, so you can catch us on Twitter as well. Our Patreon page is available to you. Please join the Voice of College Football community on Patreon. It's only 15 cents a day. You get an insider look at the Voice of College Football. I'll be posting a number of videos here very soon, giving more insight, more information, more of a perspective on how we're building this out at the Voice of College Football. Also, you've got my predictions available each and every week, exclusively on Patreon at our Voice of College Football community. We've got watch parties per request. We've got exclusive live streams per request there. And Steve Merrill from Pro Sports Info, his pick of the week, which will be posted in just a few hours. So please join us on Patreon. It's 15 cents per day. So take the dime, take the nickel, send it my way. It will be well worth it. Many people on Patreon just simply say, Mark, don't do anything here. Don't need you to do anything here. We are supporting you because you supply so much on YouTube. And that Patreon brand and that platform needs to be built out for us to continue here. And I want to commend everyone that's watching as a Miami fan here on our live stream. So we've done this 107 times. And many of you know my story. 29 years in television production in the television industry, most notably and most recently at ESPN for 19 years in production operations management. But I'm doing this full-time now. Full-time means you got to pay the bills. Got to eat, got to take care of other people's needs as well. Therefore, we need these shows to be lucrative. These shows need to be self-sustaining. They're no longer just for fun. They're for fun and for profit. And therefore, the shows that are not profitable and are not supported by either sponsorships and or individual contributions will cease to exist, unfortunately, because I would like to continue to do the shows that we do now, plus add to them. We've got our Miami live stream here each week and typically multiple times per week. We also have Ohio State Live, Florida State Live, Nebraska Live as it stands right now, and I am free and open and willing and able and more than happy to do other team live streams if we can get a sponsorship, or they'll be supported by individual contributions. So keep that in mind. And I say that to commend you Miami fans for supporting this live stream like no other live stream. So if that continues and needs to increase, but if it continues, certainly we will be happy to be here at least once a week. I need to get this link out to the Wholesome One. I believe I forgot to do that. Let me take care of some business here. So he can jump on when he's available. Miami taking on Duke. Of course, on Saturday night, a game that was not originally scheduled. Well, it was originally scheduled before we had this crazy pandemic. Of course, Miami and Duke play every year as Coastal Division teams. Not going to call them rivals, as Coastal Division teams, and the Dukes have won the last two, and this was not part of the revised 10-game ACC schedule, but has been added. Notice for those people that wanted to see Miami possibly take on a couple teams, Cincinnati and or BYU, that were without opponents this week, that BYU has added a very intriguing game against Coastal Carolina for Saturday at 5:30 Eastern on ESPNU. So join us on Patreon. You see the crawl at the bottom of the screen. It's Christmas time. Do your shopping on Amazon. You probably already do. So when you do, please grab the link in the description section of any of the videos to do your Amazon shopping. And you help us build the channel that way. The Super Chat's on as well. And we appreciate everyone who supports us there. And again, we are looking for sponsors here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, for all our shows, but specifically here for the Miami show. So if you own a business, take part in a business where you can talk to the owner, believe that it's going to be beneficial for them, beneficial for us, then let me know. You can always contact me with any recommendations, any requests, or suggestions at MarkRogersTV at Gmail, MarkRogersTV at Gmail. All right, let's get into the live chat. "904 Hurricane, hit that like button. That is very important as well. 904 Hurricane, appreciate that. Jordan Bowman, Clemson taking on Virginia Tech in Blacksburg on Saturday night at the same time that Miami is facing Duke. Jim John, Mark Rogers, please get one of the UCF guys on for the Nebraska podcast since Milton is in the transfer portal. So I'm going to go get a UCF guy to talk about Mackenzie Milton because he's in the transfer portal. That's what I'm hearing right there. Okay. Yes, Mackenzie Milton going to Nebraska seems to make sense. He quarterbacked there for Scott Frost. And if Mackenzie Milton transfers to Nebraska and he's healthy, he's able to stay healthy, then maybe Nebraska has finally found its quarterback. Maybe by chance, by luck, by coincidence, again, by sheer luck and former relationships, Scott Frost, if he gets Mackenzie Milton and he can keep him upright and together after two devastating knee injuries, one was bad enough, shattered that ACL, that would be tremendous for Nebraska football. I can't wait to see Mackenzie Milton back on the football field for somebody. I hope that he's able to make a comeback. Ronan, Mark, the world's greatest cigar salesman. I'm out of that. I was just the go-to guy, just the messenger. Keep up the great work, regardless of whether it's on here or Patreon, and we will all turn in or tune in possibly. Go Canes, Ronan. Thank you, sir. It's always appreciated. Got Zoe on the line here. Zoe, you know you're always welcome. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Everybody who's out here who's a Miami fan, check out Zoe on there's a number of ways you can look up his channel. If you type in Hurricane Zoe or 1219 the U family, any of those ways, you should be able to find Alonzo's YouTube channel here. So please subscribe, support him, check out his work, lock it in on the live streams. He, of course, brings his unique perspective to college football and other issues. All right, Kyle, good to hear from you. Leon Searcy's new cigar brand would be a solid sponsor for this show. If anyone has personal contact with Leon Searcy, maybe that's maybe we do have a connection there. I think that you have certainly led us to something there that has just sparked a connection. Possibly. Cigar brand, Mark Rogers TV. I don't know if it goes together. We'll see. All right, now that I think about it. Jordan, there's the Patreon link. Jordan is part of our Voice of College Football community on Patreon, is letting everyone know. There's the link. Thanks for making it easy for everyone, Jordan. Appreciate that. Jim John, yes, that's our guy. Jeff Sharon. We were supposed to hook up with Jeff last weekend after the South Florida game, but we had some scheduling difficulties. But yeah, Jeff does a great job at SB Nation, and we could have him on. I have been recording nonstop basically for the last 3 days. And so I have so much content coming out right now on the channel that it's almost too much. So I think we're going to shut it down for the week. we have plenty of videos to be releasing over the next 2 days before Saturday. So don't know that we're going to get around to any more records. I need to be devoting my time to other ventures with a business here, creating too much content. That's a problem that I don't hear out of other YouTubers based on what I gather, that other people don't have problems creating too much content. They typically can't create enough content. I create too much content. The Ace 2 going to Nebraska. Damn, D-Max bro gets screwed. Oh, so that's Daryl Mack's brother at Nebraska. Shane Castellanos, hi Mark and Wholesome One. Any new intel on recruiting? And if we win out and Clemson beats Notre Dame, is it a lock we play Florida in the Orange Bowl, or could we play Georgia or Cincy in another bowl? There's also all sorts of bowl speculations and bowl projections out there, but the ACC 2 seed goes to the Orange Bowl. But there's a stipulation there, I believe, that if the 2 seed goes to the college football playoff, as appears to be the case with Notre Dame and Clemson, that there is an option for the ACC or for the Orange Bowl to go elsewhere. Jim John, Miami could use a quarterback if King leaves. They sure could. Mackenzie Milton to Miami. I can't imagine that De'Ara King's going to leave. If he wants to be a quarterback and he wants to develop his skills for the draft, he's not an NFL quarterback right now. He may never be an NFL quarterback. We had that conversation with Cam Underwood the other night, and Cam doesn't believe he will ever be an NFL quarterback, that he just doesn't have that skill set. I don't know. But he's not an NFL quarterback right now. He's not even close. So if he one day wants to be an NFL quarterback, he needs to come back to Miami and work on his skills. If he wants to be an NFL player, that's another consideration. That's another decision to be made, because he could certainly prepare himself for the NFL draft, and it might be time to work on being a slot receiver or some type of a gadget player, running back / slot receiver. That's about the only thing I could see him doing, but that seems to be his fit in the NFL. Chris, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in Milton as a transfer next season, especially if King leaves. So, Stelios, De'Ara King is eligible for the draft this year, the 2021 NFL draft. Yeah, he's eligible. He's played plenty of college football. John, should Miami go after Mackenzie Milton in the transfer portal for next year if King doesn't return? They should go after him regardless. That would be a quarterback battle. If Mackenzie Milton is at full strength, that would be a quarterback battle. And guys get hurt. You're one play away. The excellent programs have more than one quarterback who's capable. Yes, Brown Eyes, you have a quarterback. You have a quarterback. And N'Kosi Perry's not a bad backup. But if you want to continue to play at a high level, if you lose your starting quarterback, then why not Go after another quarterback. Chris, but as a 24-year-old rookie, it would be a tough sell for someone to draft King, especially a quarterback. Ballard, good to see you. Fragrance Place, they said the same thing about Lamar Jackson, and he proved all those doubters very wrong. Yeah, and that's why I'm not making the judgment on De'Aaron King as an NFL quarterback, although De'Aaron King is what he's about 5'10", and Lamar Jackson's about 6'3", and Lamar Jackson is a once in a decade. It is sometimes termed once in a lifetime or generational. Well, generational means that you would be the one guy in that generation, and there's never just one guy per generation. So I hate the term generational or once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime, we live to be 75 or 80 years old. There's not one guy. So anyway, I will say once out of every 10 years does a guy come along like a Lamar Jackson, or a few guys in the span of a decade, like Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. De'Aaron King is not as explosive and cannot cover as much ground as Lamar Jackson can in the same amount of time. So it is a stretch, as Jordan Bowman points out. Where is Tate Martell? Does anybody know where Tate Martell is? They can let us know. Just in case anybody is misinformed or forgot, David would like to let everyone know, and it certainly, I'm sure this has nothing to do with this being a team-specific Miami chat, but David wanted to let everyone know that Ohio State won the 2002 national championship. I could certainly fill in all the blanks of the other national championships if need be, but David just felt it necessary to point that one out. Okay, Jeff. Mark, do you find it fair Notre Dame and Clemson won't play all their games, leaving no possibilities for Miami to get in the ACC championship? Do I think it's fair? Well, this is what I think would be fair, is that every conference plays the games that are scheduled as long as the guidelines are being met. No, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. I think there's a reason we build a schedule. Of course, in no other year would we have a situation in which one team could say, you know what, we play 8 conference games, we've played 6, we're 6-0, we're good, and we'll see you at the ACC championship game. So I don't necessarily, when you say if it's fair, nothing's necessarily going to be fair this season. There are going to be all sorts of discrepancies. I pointed out in a video that I just hit spur of the moment, hit record, and posted a video about an hour ago about the Pac-12 situation. That's not fair. The Big Ten situation, that's not fair. Or let me put it this way, the way they're playing out currently won't be fair. But here, Notre Dame's going to be without one ACC game, as I understand it. They play Syracuse this weekend. Then they will not be playing Wake Forest, which is a capable opponent. And regardless of how good the opponent is, that shouldn't factor into it. All the opponents should be treated by the league office as the same, not to downgrade anybody or upgrade anyone and say, well, it's Wake Forest. Notre Dame would win that game anyway. So is Clemson missing a game? I don't believe. Would Clemson be also missing a game? So the ACC scheduled 10 conference games originally. And as soon as I can pull up the standings, we'll give it a look as soon as I can. Okay, Brown Eyes. We don't need a quarterback via transfer portal. Taylor Van Dyke. Ballard, I know it's next year, but I'm excited for Alabama, Miami to open 2021. Pigskin, good to see you. Pigskin Pete and myself, Monday at noon, right here, noon Eastern. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, right here. If you have yet to find our college football coast to coast show on Mondays, got to find us. Find us. It's easy. We're going to be right here. We've been on Pigskin's channel for the past 3 months. We're going to be here for a while. Noon Eastern time coming up this Monday. We talk college football for a solid hour, and it's a good time. So, 10-game original schedule, revised schedule in the ACC. Notre Dame's 8-0. They play Syracuse. They're going to miss the Wake game. Clemson is 7-1. They will play Virginia Tech this weekend. I forget who Clemson was not able to play. Which game are they missing? And then we've got Miami at 6-1 with now Duke. It was supposed to be Georgia Tech and Wake. Clemson did not play. Oh, Florida State. Yes, the famous Florida State miss. Okay. So Clemson's missing Florida State. Notre Dame is going to miss Wake. And for Miami comes into this weekend at 6-1 in the ACC, and they've got Duke, North Carolina, Georgia Tech. All right. Here we go. We got the wholesome one on the line.
Howdy.
Going,
What's up, Mark? How you doing today, buddy?
Good. How you been?
I'm doing wonderful, man. It's a great day to be alive, and it's always great to be on Mark Rogers TV.
So I don't know if you heard the news that Mackenzie Milton, UCF quarterback, has hit the transfer portal. So Miami fans seem to be leaning that direction. Bring him in.
Miami fans will make you think everybody's coming here. And here's the thing, Mark. Then we'll get upset when it doesn't happen. I mean, we went over it Monday night. Oh, Duke, why are we playing Duke? I want to play Cincinnati, BYU. It doesn't work like that. You don't just wake up and magically shoot an email between coaches and we're going to figure it all out in a couple of days. And who's going to be the home team? Who's going to travel? How are we going to do the COVID protocols? What day are we going to test? All those type of things. It's crazy, man. And it may not just be Miami fans. I can only speak to Miami Hurricanes fans because I am one. But, man, it can be bad, Mark.
Well, what I pointed out when that was brought up was, yeah, it's nice to dream. It's nice to think. Would I want to see Miami play Cincinnati or BYU just for the entertainment of it and to be able to start comparing teams? Yeah, absolutely. I would love it. I would love a lot of teams to play. But the ACC is also so for the 2 points that you just nailed, those are huge factors. And then also the ACC built everyone an 11-game schedule with 10 conference games, and there are conference games being missed. The ACC is going to protect the conference first, reschedule, and find opponents within the conference first. Right. Regardless of how good or bad you think the teams are, the ACC is protecting its own brand and just the continuity of its own schedule first.
Yep. It's weird, man. It's weird. I actually had somebody call in Monday night, and he was vividly upset and called our staff, our players, and the rest of our fans soft because we didn't play BYU. It's like we don't have any control over that. Like, that's not how to. Oh, well, why didn't Coach Diaz reply to that offensive line coach that added him on Twitter? Even if he did, that doesn't mean that the game was going to happen. It was bad. It was bad, Mark. But anyway, it's a great day. Okay. It's always great to be a King. And I think that this Duke game will be a little closer than people think. And I think there's a couple reasons why. But I think it'll be a little closer than people think. Duke is, their schedule says, their record says one thing, but you turn on the film and there's some things that could give Miami problems come Saturday night.
So we'll get to the Duke matchup here in a second. We'll also dive into this question from Shane, who sees one of the great successes of Clemson football has been the relationship between Dabo Swinney and Brent Venables and them staying together so long. Venables coaching the defense, of course, and with Diaz and Lashley as long as staying a long time and building an elite program.
Yes, longevity is super important. I think that is one of the best foundations of building a true program is, Mark, you got to flip those helmets behind you, buddy.
That's about as bad as it gets, huh?
Yeah. Ugh.
My God.
And then we're next to that Gator thing. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Those people on top, have they won a game this year?
Well, if we want to put the best teams on top, then
yeah. There you go. Flip those around.
Put them.
Oh, wait. Here's your favorite logo when it comes to that helmet. Here you go, Mark.
Aren't they the best teams? Gonna go with the best teams?
Here's your best. This is the best thing Ohio State does, Mark.
Oh boy. There it is. There it is.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. That's the best thing you guys got going right there, Mark. Is this right here. And that's it right there. Flag on the play. That's a new segment of the show, Mark. When someone comes on and says something asinine, I blow the whistle and I throw the flag. Because it's to that point.
Are you doing that? You got that all ready?
Oh yeah, it's all
right there.
My whiteboard and my all that. It's right here. Yeah. Mark, I have people come on and tell me that the Miami Hurricanes should be in the top 6, and it's. I'm thankful we're top 10. I'm happy they got us at 10th.
Yeah.
Where you have us is pretty solid. I think last time we were 11th, correct?
Yeah, I might have moved you up a spot this week. I think you're at 10 this week, I believe.
And I think
10 or 11.
Logically, Miami plays their best game, 9-10. Miami plays their regular games, how we've been playing, beating average teams by a combined 3 points. Miami's like 13, 14, 15, somewhere in there. I mean, college football is just all over the place this year. And, of course, you can only play the games that you do play, but the eye test and how you play these games and how you win these games are important. And if we want to talk about having the reality and having people watch these games and judge them based on the eye test, yeah, sure. Miami's a top 15 team, I think. I think so.
Yeah, so you made a comment about Duke a few minutes ago before we get into the Blue Devils that people just look at the record, and we did a live stream a couple nights ago, and there were all sorts of crazy scores about the Miami-Duke game on Saturday, 52-7, and those kind of scores. And Duke is not, they have a bad record. They're not losing their games that badly. They did get whipped a couple times, but most of their games have been fairly close.
Mm-hmm. That's what listen. I was bamming the walls trying to explain it to them. I'm like, these people, they rush the passer pretty well. They run a 3-4 odd front, okay? And then if we give them anything higher than 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, if we go 2 back or we go 2 tight end, they bring both their rush linebackers up and give a 50 front. And if we don't double team someone, that leaves the one position that's been among the worst on our team, offensive line, in one-on-one situations. That's not a good look for us, okay? We haven't been doing well with 5 versus 4. What are we going to do with 5 versus 5, okay? Which means you have to leave Brevin Jordan and or one of the backs in there to help you. And then when you do that, you take away from the speed and athleticism down the football field. And now De'Aaron King has to try to play All-American in the backfield, and it doesn't work out well. I think we're 112th ranked offensive line, and they have like the 51st pass rusher rating. And they're very slender-framed guys. They're not power rushers. They are athletic, nimble, speed, finesse type players. So they try to get skinny and try to scoop between gaps. They don't just try to bull rush you and man their gap. They try to slide and slip in between. And it doesn't work out well if you are trying to play power and they're playing finesse and they have the leverage on you. That can look out and turn out pretty bad. Now, by no means am I saying the Miami Hurricanes suck and we're going to go out there and win by a late field goal and Duke is the second greatest team ever. No, that's not what I'm saying. But there is context when we talk about these games, okay? We've been off for 2 weeks, haven't practiced for 2 whole weeks. We had our very first conditioning Sunday night, and we had to practice Monday to try to get some practice and game planning in for this upcoming game Saturday night. We didn't find out we were playing until Sunday night, okay? And if you do have COVID or having anybody around you that was positive, then you can't even be in the facilities. Okay, so we don't even know where our team conditioning is right now. So that's why I'm a little nervous going into this game. And they've been playing for a couple weeks. And if you watched the Georgia Tech game last week, it was 28-all at the half. It looked like a blowout because Georgia Tech turned those turnovers that Duke was having into touchdowns, not just field goals. And they pulled away because they kept scoring off of Duke, either fumbling or throwing interceptions. But it was a shootout back and forth. Okay, and Georgia Tech is very similar to Miami and athlete-wise as far as, how we play, spread, up-tempo, RPO type of thing. So watching their film, and I did a film breakdown that dropped last night, you see that this Duke team is going to be very well coached, and they know exactly where you want to go with the football. They just can't always stop it, is the biggest difference.
So the Ace, too, thinks, just like you pointed out a few minutes ago, Wholesome One, all these teams need to do is have one coach call the other one, and they can set up the game, and they're all set. So
they think it's like this, like, hey, Mark coaches at Rutgers, I coach at Memphis, and we both missed a game, and I just shoot him an email, hey, you want to play Saturday? It doesn't work like that. There's travel. Who's going to pay for the travel? It's a lot of stuff that goes in sports, especially with the COVID situation. It's made it even greater, man, and it's not easy. So I'm happy because I would not have wanted to go into UNC rusty. That's a team that's rolling, man, and I wouldn't want to have to play them rusty. So I'm happy that we're going to get a game in and be able to knock a little bit of the ring rust off on Saturday night.
Very quickly here, Ballard, I appreciate you calling in and us discussing college football all the time. Please don't ask me about the 87 Fiesta Bowl, whether I'm familiar with it. Please don't insult me. Ballard, come on. All right. Bergie, I have a feeling Duke will be our last game before the Bowls. If there is a bowl game, just have a feeling ACC is going to pull the plug. I have no comment to that. It's just that we are taking
it by day by day on the season.
It sounds like that's what he's
okay, and that might just be Bergie's feel. I mean, and that's okay. I don't know if they will pull a plug on the season with only 2 games left. I mean, they've already canceled the last week of the season. So Miami and UNC is just, I think, will be amongst one of the only games played because they canceled Clemson's game and they canceled Notre Dame's game and basically just gave them the championship game between the two for next week. Because next week we play UNC and they're both going to be off. They give them a week off. So.
Yes, Panama Jack. It can be done. Teams are rescheduling games. Yes, it can be done. Again, the ACC is going to reschedule conference games, though. All right. Got plenty of folks in here at 76. We appreciate you jumping on board. Would like to see some good comments, some questions, some debate topics that you can leave here for myself and the Wholesome One. Let's see. Jeff, hold on, Wholesome. Most Miami fans are so happy to see another football game on Saturday. We need the distraction in tough times. Go Canes.
Okay. I don't know if I said anything opposite of that. I am happy that we do play Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Miami. And here's the part that I've grown to understand from people who look at Miami from afar. It's mind-boggling how back and forth the Miami Hurricanes can be. I mean, you could go down any schedule every year and say this team can just as easily be 10-2, 11-1, 12-0 as they can be 8-4, 7-5. And we are just such a, you never know which Miami is going to show up. You never know which, what team is going to, the team that plays Miami, how they're going to be that week. It's such a big totem pole. But the biggest difference between that is the Miami Hurricanes having a true program that has a high attention to detail and the foundation of its program. If once we add that to the already talented, to the already high recruiting area, to the already, flash and pizzazz that the U brings to the table, the effort, the swagger, because, and the heart that this team has under Coach Manny Diaz, once we add true attention to detail, the effort is already there. The program can take a big step forward. And I can see that happen over the next 2 to 3 years. It'll take some time, but yeah.
Jeff Lynn's ELO 2022 tour. Wholesome One. Should Mike Rumpf be back in 21? He's not very good at recruiting, and our corners like Blades and Ivy regressed this year.
I will say this much. As someone who's working as hard as he possibly can to join the coaching fraternity as a full-time job, I don't think it would be my best interest to call for someone's job. What I will say is at the end of the year, all the best coaches evaluate not only their players, but their staff. And if you can add to that staff, if you can go to a different level, if you can upgrade, why not do that? I think that there's a couple of people that you can bring in that can do the cornerback job at the University of Miami. And I think Coach Mike Rumpf gives the effort, and the young men really appreciate his attention to detail. But I think there's a lot of inner workings that's happening at Miami as far as him not being in charge of corners. He just coaches the players once they get there. And every program kind of does things a little differently. We're not the only ones that do things in that manner. But I can understand people's frustration with a position as important behind quarterback and pass rusher, having a big-time number one corner or two of them or multiple at the college level is very, very important. So it's either third or fourth on that list of really big things you want. And at the elite level where we want to be again, these teams have that. So if you can replace and or upgrade at that position, I think that Coach Manny Diaz will do anything in his power to evaluate his staff.
We talk Miami football live here every week, at least once a week, with a Wholesome One here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, edition number 107. Remind you that the Super Chat is available. Please smash that like button as well. And we got Miami taking on Duke. The Canes look to go to 8-1. Chris Bradford, any thoughts on Terrence Lewis, T2, who decommitted the other day from the University of Tennessee?
My thoughts on Terrence Lewis. I would love to add Terrence Lewis to the Miami Hurricanes roster. There has been a hole at linebacker since Denzel Perryman departed in 2014 for the draft of 2015. Since February of 2015, there has been a hole at linebacker as far as at the high level. Don't give me Michael Pinckney. Don't give me Shaq Quarterman. Those guys were above average and regressed over their time here. Okay, so there has been a hole left since then. We had Justin Flo, and for all accounts, we were either in the top 3 or top 2, and we lose that to Oregon, a team that's on a different level than us right now. Just that simple. But it's a little different when it's a hometown player. When it comes to Terrence Lewis, I think it is an SEC lean. He was originally committed to Florida, decommitted from Florida, commits to Tennessee, decommits from Tennessee. Now it's supposedly a Texas A&M Auburn conversation is what's being said. And, of course, Miami will be in there because it's the hometown team that's going to give an effort and swing for the fences. That's one thing you have seen with this recruiting class is we are taking out shots at the top tier players. And if we swing and miss, we swing and miss. So I really like that type of mentality because there's no way you go after Atlanta Taylor and, also the other defensive tackle we had on our roster just decommitted, his teammate. But then the other one we have committed is Alan Hay, pretty low 3-star. There's a big variation between the two. But guess what? You took a swing and you ended up hitting a home run with one of the best players and number one at his position. And then you also have someone who you see something in. And most teams have a couple of players like that on their roster. We have Malik Curtis, Troutman, the linebacker. There's a couple guys that we have that we see can come to Miami and add to what we would want. And they're a Miami program player that we would love to have. And that's why we're recruiting them. So when it comes to T2, I would love it. Now, trust me, if he picks Miami and throws up to you, I'll be live, smiling, in shock. If he doesn't pick the University of Miami, you know what? We lost a good one. Let's keep building this program, and let's make sure this doesn't happen for 2022, 23, and 24 moving forward. That's all you really can do. I mean, with a young man like this, he's already had 2 decommits. He wants to sign in a couple of days for early signing. So all you could do is just continue to recruit him, swing for the fences. If he picks you, hallelujah. If he doesn't pick you, hallelujah. Keep moving. It's all right.
Wholesome One, I'm going to take a stab at this one, and then you can add whatever you'd like. A Real Talk has asked a number of questions about blue bloods. So, okay, this is how I define that. This is how I approach the term blue blood versus elite. And this doesn't mean that this is a rule and I won't accept anybody else's answer and this is the law. This just is my perspective. Is that the term blue blood refers to royalty, meaning it's in your veins. It's predestined. It's already it's from birth, basically. So the term blue blood is, in a sense, if you want to take it literally, different than elite. You can not be a blue blood and you could gain elite status, like Clemson's elite. Are they a blue blood? Not if you take the term as it's defined. So blue bloods would be at the beginning of college football. These were the great traditions and have continued to be the great traditions. Now, if we want to take that to the nth degree, then the only true blue bloods are like
Harvard and Yale.
Exactly. Harvard, Yale, Princeton,
Yeah.
Rutgers played the very first college football game. Yeah. But if we want to take it to like the 20s, 30s, then it's Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, USC, Texas, Oklahoma. Those are the schools that I consider definite blue bloods. And then you could make a case for Nebraska. You could make a case for Penn State. And that's pretty much it. All right. To me, that's different than elite. Anybody can be elite. Miami's been elite. Florida State's been elite. Clemson.
Florida, Georgia. Yeah. Oh, I can't say
Georgia. Yeah.
Only
you
had
can go all over.
Yeah.
So that's at least my definition of blue blood versus elite.
Okay. If you were to say a blue blood, which I think it's up for definition,
sure.
Depending on if you really want to get into that. I mean, you see, Jordan got it. Jordan Bowman's like, what does that even mean? It's only really a couple if you want to go back, and that's Harvard and Yale. I mean, I think the first ever football game was Rutgers and Harvard.
It's Rutgers and somebody. I know Rutgers won the game. I'll look that up. So I think it is. I think you're right.
And if you want to add championships up, Harvard and Yale were one of the only ones playing each other back then, so they got like 40. I mean, it doesn't really. I think that it's nice. It's a nice conversation starter. I mean, it's nice to get your views on YouTube. You get all the opinions in the comments section. You can start a real debate about is Miami a blue blood or is Tallahassee a blue blood, and it's like I think Cam Underwood described it as the best I've ever heard, a microwave history. with Miami. I think Tallahassee had the 90s, so I guess you can't really call them a microwave because that was like a really nice decade for that program. It's they kind of sold their soul for it because they've sucked since about 2017. So we're happy for that always when we wear this orange and green. And they don't even have enough players to fill the team. So that's cool. That's really nice to know moving forward. But, yeah, I don't know if I would call Miami a blue blood. Who would I say is the blue blood of the ACC? I would say no one. I mean, historically, maybe Pavatek never won a natty. No one. I would say there's no blue bloods in the ACC.
1869, Rutgers and Princeton.
Princeton. I know it was an Ivy.
It's your first game ever.
Gotcha.
All right, let's move it back up to 2020 here.
Yeah.
And, let's see. What do we have? So the last time Miami was on the field was that 25-24 game against Virginia Tech. It's been forever.
Mark, listen, I was one of the only people that, yes, I was happy, but I was atrociously angry at how that game was played, man. But, of course, there's context to it, and come to find out the team barely could even play the game and no backups, all that type of stuff. But I love the effort that the team has been given. I just tell you, Mark, it's very hard for me to visualize a team that had not been together in 2 weeks be able to field and play a super well-coached team that's been playing for a couple weeks now, and it turning out in the favor that everybody wants is 3, 4, 5 touchdowns. I think we can get a maybe 10 to 14 on them, but I don't know if we can get them and blow them out, unless we just go out and live in a moment and go 4 wide and just go athlete on athlete and see what we can do. But, hopefully, and that's why these coaches are at the Power 5 level. Hopefully they can come up with something to put together to win the football game on Saturday, man. And I don't know if it'll be the easiest thing, but we're going to see.
Got the wholesome one here for the hour here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And Savion Collins, Miami Palmetto defensive tackle, has decommitted.
Yes. Yes, he has. The biggest story behind that, Mark, is the fact that Savion Collins plays both ways in high school. Okay, and it is regarded that he is a better guard than he is defensive lineman. But he wants to play defensive line at the next level. And I think that after reevaluating this is from my opinion, based on him decommitting this close to signing day, which he is an early signee, so this close, that means there must have been a conversation that had with the Miami Hurricane staff, and maybe upon reevaluation, I believe he may have been dropped. Or they may have just let him know, if you do come here, you will have to play offensive line. He doesn't want to play offensive line, so he decides he wants to take his talents elsewhere. This is just my belief based on kind of reading the room, reading the situation. That's the conclusion that I have come to. University of Miami has now made a comment on it, and neither has Savion Collins. So for all I know, I could be flat out wrong, and he just told us, I hate you. Or, Miami could have just cut him. I don't know. I don't know for a fact. But based on what I've seen and the facts that I was presented, my opinion is that they decided to mutually part ways because he wants to play defensive line, and they don't think that, he's a Miami Hurricanes defensive line.
For Billy Paul, thank you so much for sending us a super chat through Venmo. Thank you for that. We appreciate that. And thank you for the loyalty and the support. This is what I'm going to hit you up with here, Wholesome One. We're going to go position by position, and you tell me from game one to now whether that position has progressed, improved, or regressed.
I like that.
Downgrade.
Okay, sure. Hit me.
Okay, let's go defense first.
Oh, cool.
Let's start with the D tackles.
Oh,
just the tackles.
Progressed. Yes. Yeah, very happy. Can I go in depth for a little bit?
Sure. That's what I want.
Man.
Heck
I'm
yeah.
very, very pleased with the defensive tackle progression. John Ford has woken up a little bit. Harrison Hunt has started to make some plays and started some games, a redshirt freshman. Nestor Silvera, I genuinely think he's like a top 10 defensive tackle in the country right now. I mean, he shows up every single week. He's not like jumping off the screen, bamming the wall down because he's an All-American. But, I mean, you turn on the film, and every game, even in Clemson, he was one of the bright spots where he made plays and he handled his guard and made some plays with effort down the football field. 100% progressed.
The end.
So you said progressed, regressed, and what's the middle one?
Well, basically, just progressed or regressed, whether they improved or have regressed.
Defensive end, I'll say progressed, only because I don't want to be Mr. Negative Nancy, but I've been very, very disappointed in Quincy Roche's sack pressures. I'm not liking it. It's dropped off big time. And I wasn't expecting him to have 16 again. But, 8 weeks in, I was thinking he would average maybe a sack or at least half a sack a game. And 2.5 sacks is not cutting it. I mean, that's just not good enough at this level at all. But Quincy Roche, Jalen Phillips, doing really well. So he's the reason why I would say progressed for the group. But out of the two, very disappointed in Quincy Roche's production.
And we'll interrupt our great evaluation of the Miami defense with this question coming in from David Knight. Wholesome one, is the Miami defense aggressive enough for you, not aggressive enough, or about where they should be? Thoughts?
Man. Hey, listen, David, I really appreciate that question.
That's our guy, David.
That's a great question. I do believe that this defense is growing before our eyes. And when you talk about aggression, it's tough as a defensive coordinator calling plays because then you kind of borderline on am I too blitz happy, or can I just let my front go? And am I subject to big plays because I'm overly aggressive? So there's a really tough balanced act that you have to have as a defensive coordinator. Okay, do I want to attack and make sure that you can't get behind me via the pass? Or do I want to give up a couple yards in the run game because we're so focused on your dynamic passing attack? Or do we focus all in and we load the box and then you're attacking me and now you're getting 30, 40 yards of pop? That's kind of the big difference between Coach Manny Diaz and Coach Blake Baker. Is Coach Manny Diaz was ultra aggressive, but we were subjected to huge 50-plus yard plays because if it didn't hit home, a big play would come out of it. Now you also had last year and this year where it's been kind of a mix, like right in the middle as a balanced defense where you're not going to beat us too much with the pass. You're not going to beat us too much with the run. We're not going to be overly aggressive, but we'll do just enough. It's a bend and break defense, not bend, don't break, bend and break defense. And I'm not a big fan of how it can come out. Sometimes I think teams have really worked on it against us in this 4-2-5, but I think it can get more aggressive. I'm hoping that it does over time. But the fourth quarter defense is, man, it comes out of nowhere. It's really mind-boggling, Mark, how they just flip a switch. I mean, you think about that NC State game. It was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then Miami just said, nope. The fourth quarter came and they just shut it all down. It was crazy. You even look at Biotech. They had plenty of chances. We gave them the ball 3 times, Mark, with 8 minutes left. They had 3 whole drives, and all they needed was 1 point, and they couldn't get a point. They couldn't even get in field goal range. So that's the thing. It's like this defense and Coach Blake Baker can flip the switch when they want to. We just hope that they play a little bit more consistency and play a little longer that version of the defense. But it's aggressive enough, and I understand that the horses are on their way. A lot of our big-time recruits are on the defensive side of the ball coming in. So I think that it's coming. the help that we need to take it to the next level, it's on its way. And one of the other ones that's already on our roster, which we're so happy it wasn't a career-ending injury, is already practicing with the team. Don't know if you know that, Mark, but Avante Williams, the player who was, everybody was so terrified, he's practicing now. Okay, so we figured it out. Whatever it is, they're keeping it in-house. They've worked hard enough to get him healthy enough to be able to practice. So blessings and happiness for that.
We get the wholesome one once a week here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So take advantage. Hit us up in the super chat. Hit us up in the live chat and show some appreciation here. We appreciate all of you and want to remind you that I got to tell you, I say this not just here, but I say this on the other team-specific live streams, that we are supported by the Miami fans more than any other fan base. So congratulations to you. We recognize you. Thank you so much for that. We can only do these live streams if they are supported as individual contributors like you, and also hopefully some sponsorships in the future. All right. We know that we had a ton of turnover at linebacker heading into 2020.
Mm-hmm.
How would you grade that position in terms of improvement since game one?
Progression. Not only has BJ Jennings, number 44, gotten better, but we've had a mixture of Zach McLeod, number 53. We've also had Sam Brooks, number 6. We've had Ryan Rigoni, number 34. I mean, we've tried any mix of either with him or him off the field. We've had Wayman Steed, number 17. And it's just been a nice cluster. We've been trying to piece the right core together. And Sam Brooks, number 6, and BJ Jennings, number 44, together has grown. And I do really like what I've seen, even to the point where BJ Jennings had a chance to have the game-sealing interception. Although he did drop it, it showed progression because he was usually out of position all year long. He literally sank right in on the cover 2 under, sank right into that middle of the field, and the ball hit him right. I mean, he had it, and he tried to double clutch it and dropped it. But you know what? That shows me as a coach, it shows me that this young man is growing. He's growing before our eyes. I'm not saying he's Ray Lewis. I'm not saying he's Dan Morgan. But it's nice to see that these coaches are putting that effort in. And he's putting the effort in, too, to progressively get better. And that's what you can ask for because, sometimes, Mark, with a season the way that this is, some players are going to be who they are. But this player has fought through injuries. He's fought through being behind players in front of him like Shaq Quarterman, who was, started 52 games, So he's been here for a while, waiting his chance. And I like the progression that I've seen. Sam Brooks is the athlete that we need at linebacker. And if you want to add striker to this, well, we'll have striker as a separate category because that is just like top tier. I can talk for 40 minutes on what they're doing there. So I would say definitely progression at linebacker.
All right. Then we'll hit you with the striker position next then.
Okay. So it started out with a 2-man battle between Keandre Smith, a 4-star safety, and Gilbert Frierson, also a 4-star, came here to play corner. But so therefore, it should let you know the athleticism you're getting already when it comes to this player. But he didn't really have the hips to be a Power 5 corner at this level. So he moved on to safety. Well, he didn't like being that far away from the ball, so it didn't really work out too much for him. And he didn't want to gain any weight at 200 pounds. So they moved him to the striker position at 6'1", 208 pounds. I think it fits him perfectly. You're going up against running backs and tight ends, but you're also in the mix to where if a slot goes your way, you can cover them too in a pinch. But it was a battle in the offseason between Keandre Smith and Gilbert Frierson, who gave up a big play last year versus Florida that no one will ever forgive him for. They've just been on his head about that. But that battle made Gilbert better. Okay, it forced Frierson, if he really wanted to be a starter, beat out this young man that's more athletic than you, a little bit more aggressive than you. He just doesn't know the playbook, so he can't play as fast. You do. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to match his intensity? Are you going to match his coverage ability? Or are you going to let the fact that this young man doesn't know the playbook, and eventually he will, be the reason why you lose your job. So it was back and forth all year. And about week 4 or 5, Clemson game time, Gilbert Frison started to be that one player on the defensive side of the ball, besides light-skinned warrior Bubba Bolden, and Nesta, to really jump off the screen on film. The run game, in pass rush, in zone coverage, in man coverage. He is our highest graded player. I mean, the effort this young man gives, it's high. He gave a huge halftime speech in NC State that everybody was talking about. His effort and his want to is what led to a great comeback win, a game that Miami would normally have lost. And arguably it's probably our best game this season as a whole, as far a team that would, had the talent to hit us back in the mouth. And we played really, really well. So that's Gilbert Frison. Keandre Smith, he gives a lot of effort also. Very good dynamic, kind of nickel back type player. When he was getting in the game, they're very similar. So there's not much of a drop-off between putting one out for a couple plays, bring Keandre in, and then he gets his little rust off, as a true sophomore. And he's also one of the better special teams players on the team. So you're kind of knocking out two birds with one stone. You're getting a young player who pushed that older player some play time. He started a couple games, and he's also getting his feet wet in the defense plus on special teams. So striker is our best and highest graded position, in my unhumble opinion, when it comes to this team, not just defense. This team, the striker position is the absolute best.
Got the wholesome one here talking Miami football. We got the Canes and we got the Blue Devils coming up Saturday night. That's an an ACC network game, 8:00 Eastern time on Saturday night. Duke at 2-7, Miami at 7-1. Few games left for the Canes, and I know there's been a lot of talk about going to the Orange Bowl. All right, wholesome one. The corners, how have they done from game 1 to game 8?
Regressed. Again, last year, one of our worst positions was corner offensive line. This year, worst positions, corner offensive line. Arguably, you could say QB. I mean, anything with Tate Martell in it, it's bad. So now that he's no longer a part of it, those are my praise hands. He's gone, so that's always amazing. But, yeah, man, it's bad. Ja'Cory Couch is the only reason why I wouldn't give him a flat-out F. It's bad, Mark, and it's sad. That goes way back to Coach Mark Richt and his lack of bringing in a corner, feeling too good. He really put this team in a bad situation numbers-wise. He was very disrespectful to wide receivers and corners. He felt like they weren't good enough, and they go off to the SEC and do things. This man, Coach Mark Richt, literally said that Elijah Moore was not good enough to play at Miami. And he's carving stuff up in the SEC. This is the type of stuff you have to be able to, man, I tell you, one of the biggest things with getting into this profession is you understand that there has to be a sense of foresight. You got to be able to see something in a young man and see what you can help them to become. And if you don't have coaches on your roster that can do that, it's a big problem. That's a big problem. And whether it's at Miami, whether that's at Youngstown State, whether that's at Minnesota State Technical Institution, if you can see a young man, his effort, his abilities, and be able to say, you know what? I think if we add him to our team, he can do this for us. He can do this for us. But you know what's even more important? What we can do for him and making him better and identifying when he does good and bad and work on the bad and maximize the good and help him progress, not only as a player, but as a person. And to know that Coach Mark Richt refused to do that with a couple of players, it hurts. And at corner and wide receiver were the two positions that he just threw his hands up. He ain't a Miami receiver. He ain't a Miami corner. And now, years down the line, it's really affected us with numbers. And it's bad. It's bad.
And we'll finish off wholesome one with the safety position in 2020.
Regressed. First half of the season, I would have said safety is top tier. I would have said Bubba Boden's an All-American. I would have said he single-handedly, he was holding it big time because Amari Carter, Gervin Hall has a disappearing act. I don't know what happened to him. I was pretty excited about him and his progression. I thought he would have been a really nice combination, a combo safety, free or strong. He can hit, he can cover, he can open field tackle. And you know what, Mark? I don't know what's going on with him. Sometimes it can be a personal thing. You never know if someone just had a new baby or, a family issue. But it just seems like this young man, it's just not all there. And I don't know. Maybe he just hasn't been in the good situations. I mean, that latter half of last year, he was the one at safety that gave us the reason to be excited. And then now it's not there. I mean, everybody and their mom knows that 5 needs to be a linebacker, okay? Except for him. He just thinks he's a safety, and it just doesn't. It's not going to work out well for him back there. So safety is just really bad. Safety, the latter half of it, with Keyshawn Washington and Avonte Williams and Jalen Harrell and Brian Balaam, all 4-star recruits, all very athletic and young and tenacious safeties. Some former corners, so you're bringing that athleticism to safety too. I think it's great in the great hands of the future at safety, especially when you add Cameron Kitchens to that and the great James Williams to that, who I also think is a future striker linebacker. But whatever, we'll see what happens. Okay, the next 4 or 5 is really good. But that top 3, those who are contributing right now and playing, regressed ultimately.
There it is, folks. Another hour of Miami football talk here with the Wholesome One. And we will, of course, have some type of recap set for you. Just lock in with the subscription and hit the bell for the notifications, because I've got all sorts of college football to cover on Saturday night. But I will definitely want to get to the Miami Duke recap. And, of course, lock it in with the Wholesome One. Wholesome One Holloway, HOLSUM, the number 1. And if you're not subscribed, you got to get subscribed and just do it right now. Might as well get it done and lock it in with his channel and all the Miami content that he delivers and analysis on the Canes. Wholesome One, we appreciate you stopping by and being here for us with a great analysis.
Of course, Mark. Thank you so much every time, weekly, for this stage and for this opportunity. For those of you all who are here that are #Live Squad, we appreciate you. Thank you so very much. But forever and ever, it's always #Rewatch Squad. You guys are just as important, man. Go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and give Mark a subscribe. And if you want to swing over to the Host One Holloway's channel, I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. And as always, Mark, go Canes.